small nation that has a big, big God that inspired to innovate and make the world a better place. That inspired to innovate and make the world a better place. We shall become the world number one. We shall become the world number one. Smadu.
Alright, dear viewer, you are most welcome to our another lesson for music in this Creative Intelligence 2050. And we've been developing something about music, and I'm sure you've been working with us. You are not where you used to be. At least you understand something, and also we want to have your feedback to know what maybe we may have left out something, one thing or the other. But today we want to make a bit more progress from where we stopped last time, because last time we tried to develop more on the elements of music, just to try to describe how pitch is used and how rhythm now applies. But we never touched so much on rhythm last time. But I hope today, in due course, we're going to cover a little bit more and see how the pitch and rhythm meet at the music's core, on the staff. Because I said last time that when you have the staff, that is where you're able to use pitch and rhythm as raw materials to construct or create or come up with music, right? So we started by describing what a score is, and we said when you have different types of clefs, you can combine a number of them to make a score or a staff. And we said, especially when you combine the G clef and the bass clef, you get what we call the grand staff. Grand staff is actually the basic of understanding the music theory, because this is whereby we are able to understand how pitches play around. And normally the grand staff, I need to mention here, it's more used for voices, because you can have the staff for vocal music and instrumental music. They will be different based on, even for various instruments, depending on the kind of instrument you're doing, the scores will be a little bit different. And also the register, whether it is the higher registers or lower registers, the kind of an instrument you have. Because we have some instruments that play very high pitches, they are called treble instruments. Then we have some that play middle level, like alto, tenor. We have others that play bass registers or bass pitches. Okay, so we'll have different clefs for all these kind of instruments, and they will also be combined in different ways. But when we combine the two basic clefs, that is the G clef and the bass clef, in this kind of a way, we call it the grand staff, and it helps us to have a basic understanding on how to go about clefs and the staff. So we said last time, developing on what we said last time, we used the seven letters of the musical alphabet to describe the pitches within a clef. As any given clef, just the 7 letters are enough. And we normally utilize the line and the speech. Okay? And let me mention here that when you see the clefs, they're usually written in a vertical and a horizontal way. They're kind of a graph, so to describe. So we have the vertical description and we have the horizontal description. Okay? So when you talk of the vertical, it's like going from a low point to a higher point. So it's like we are moving from here, a low point, to a higher point. And as simple as it appears, that also tells us how this is the way to describe the pitches. So whenever you look at a staff and you see some lines that are on the lower side, others on the higher side, then it tells you that is how pitches are registered or are written in music. So whenever you see the lower line here, then it means that that is the lowest pitch you have. If you have a higher line here, then it tells you that is the highest pitch that you have. So we have various pitches, and they go progressively from the lowest to the highest. And in between there are many other pitches that will also be varying in terms of height, and so in terms of the highness or the lowness. Right? So when we have the lowest line here, which is, of course, we said it's E, it tells you then in G clef, the lowest pitch, or the lowest pitch we have on the lines is E, from what we are saying. Of course, this is expandable. That is why we need to say, to make it, it is not really fixed on that. It is expandable in a way to say that you can also increase the pitches. You can expand the clef upwards and downwards also. That's another process, what we call, when you have additional pitches, we call using ledger lines. Then we don't need to get into that for now. But as it appears now to our eye, the lowest pitch here is E, and the highest pitch is F. And then we are moving progressively, like we said, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. And so line, space, line, space, line, space, and so on and so forth. So that is for G clef. Today we wanted really to concentrate on naming the bass clef, and then we can go further in trying to see how both of them relate. So the F clef, which is also called the bass clef, like we said, when we talk of treble, it means higher or upper registers. Okay? And when we come to voices, the vocals, we have, from your basic knowledge, you will know that when you talk of higher, if I ask you of any higher voice that you know, of course I'm sure you'll tell me soprano. You tell me soprano. And you may not be very sure about all the other voices, but I'm sure you'll be sure about soprano. If I ask you about any low voice, of course you'll tell me bass. But I want to put it to you today that in between here, when it comes to voices, okay, there are many voices depending on the kind of a school you're coming from, but very basic way of defining our voices, we'll have 4 basic voices, and we'll have soprano and alto on the upper clef. Then we have tenor and bass on the lower clef. So that is why this kind of a stuff, the grand stuff, when it comes to voice, we normally call it soprano, alto, tenor, bass. S-A-T-A-B, S-A-S-A-T-B means you have soprano and alto on the upper register or the upper clef, then tenor and bass. And from what you'll see then is that tenor is definitely higher than bass, and it is definitely lower than alto in terms of description of pitches. Okay, so when we come to the bass clef, it will carry not just the bass voice, it will also carry the tenor voices. Alright, and since we are not doing so much of voice training for now, we will do that later. But for now, just understand it that way. What we want to do next is to see how now the letters apply. Because the same letters we use for the treble clef or the G clef are the same ones, the 7, not anymore, are the same ones that we use. But now, at another level in terms of pitch. Okay, so let's quickly name the lower notes or the lower registers, that is the bass clef. So from here where we stop, if we are combining 2 of them, we are going to go downwards. Since we are already coming from the upper clef, then we are going to go downwards. So if you're going backwards in a clef in a progressive way, if you're going backwards in the normal alphabet, from E you definitely go to D. So the space below this line is usually D. And you can never go from a space to another space. There must always be a line in between. So what we normally do in order to combine these two clefs properly, we put a small line, what I talked about earlier on, called a ledger line. It's not a complete line, just a small one, just to tell you that there is a division or there is a pitch in between there. And it marks the middle point between the 2 clefs. And normally this note will be called C, because you're coming from D, there's space up here, then you come to that note which is C. So you're moving from E, D, then C, then from C to the lower clef, we have one more space, and then we're also going to move down progressively. So what note will we have here? From C progressively, it will definitely be B. And now it becomes easy for us to name the lines and the spaces. Because after that space, then we go to the uppermost line, which is A. We are moving downwards, remember, not upwards. So we are moving downwards. So we have A, then move again down. We said we only use this letter, so we don't move like from A to anything else. We move from A to G, because after G we have A. So then after A also, then we have again G. So we have G here on that space. And we can do this very quickly because we've been doing that before. So we have G, fill in G on the space, G. Actually, let me use different colors like we did with the upper clef. So the space here is G, G. Then we have G. Then after G we usually have F. Then after F we have E. After E we have D. After D we have C. After C we have D. After B we have A. And then we finish with the last line down there. There is a reason why I'm doing them progressively like this, which is G. After G we always go to A. Alright? So very quickly we want to name them again as we did with the upper clef. We want to have a way of remembering them. If we use the lines only, we have this line, the lowest line is G, this is B, this is D, this is F, and this is A. So we have a way of naming them again. You can have your own, but my own will be good boy deserves favor always. Good boy deserves favor always. Different from what we used earlier on. And then the spaces, we call them all cows eat grass. All cows eat grass. Right? So those are the lines and the spaces for the F clef or the bass clef. Thank you so much. We will progress from there. Of course, we cannot have everything together in this particular lesson, but we'll move on progressively. Next time, I'm sure it will become easier and easier as we move to the next lesson. Thank you so much for watching us. God bless you.